Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from CoolCleveland.com, and we are here this morning at the new Max Hayes High School at 65th and Clark, and we're here with Cuyahoga County Executive candidate Jack Schron. Jack, thanks so much for taking time to talk.
Thanks, Thomas. I'm glad you're here this morning because it's exciting things going on here at Max Hayes, exciting things going on in the manufacturing sector.
It's nice to see some construction crews. We were talking about this. You come from the manufacturing sector. I want to talk to you today as a businessman because you do have very successful manufacturing. It's a high-tech company as well. We consider it that as well. You export all over. Talk about why, as a business person, you want to make change and become county executive.
Well, as county executive, Max Hayes represents right in the background what you're seeing right now. It's the new vision of schools, of education, of our for unity, for blending together, of why schools like Max Hayes, where the people can learn how to use their brains and their hands and make a living. Jergens is actually scholarshiping kids right out of Max Hayes every year for the last 5 years.
Talk about jobs. I know you opposed the SB 5 resolution, and talk about this as a business person. I mean, do you feel we need strong unions? What's your whole opinion on that? It's been the bedrock of getting people employed, and not only in this state, but really in this country traditionally. And how do you see that as a business person and as someone who wants to move forward in government?
Well, my opponent keeps saying that I'm not in favor of workers' rights, but all you have to do is come and talk to the people at Jergens. You'll see that they're paid top salaries. They earn top benefits, health care. We actually have a profit-sharing plan that's been in place for over 30 years where we share our profits with our employees, with our workers' rights. So when you talk about workers' rights, I'm a participant really in truly doing it with my hands-on approach.
Right, and not everyone does that. Not all businesses do that, and a lot of them have to need some regulation possibly to encourage them to do the right thing?
No, I think that what you need to do is you just do the right thing and it takes care of itself. I mean, you walk into Jergens, the first thing you see we're an inclusive organization. We have African Americans, we have Hispanics, people from all walks of life. We have people of all sexual persuasions, all working there together to make a living. And you also see a wall of pictures of people that have been with us for over 25 years. Yeah. That doesn't happen overnight.
No, and that's impressive. Talk about the $100 college savings account that was started under the previous administration. You've said you're not in favor of this, and we're here at Max Hayes High School. We got a bunch of kids here wanting to strive, wanting to do better. How do you see if this program isn't the right program in your mind, what would be a good program that county government could do for them?
Sure. The $100 scholarship fund, I think, was purely political. It was not functional. The first child won't even be using it for over 13 years. We'll have already invested as a county $26 million into this program before the first child will use $1 of the program. So I think that what you got to be conscious of is you don't make political things. You do real things. I'd rather see that instead of 25% of the dollars going into administration to set it up, I'd rather see that $2 million going to this year's kids. Just like we scholarship $15 million or $15,000, going to Max Hayes kids. Those kids are going to use it next year at Tri-C, at Cleveland State. So I'd rather see an immediate gain as opposed to something long-term that is illusory.
So you have a program for using this money in the short term rather than the long term?
Yeah, I think that what I'd rather see, if you're going to use scholarship money, start using it for today's kids. We also have a 529 plan already in the state of Ohio. It's being utilized. We have less than 1% participating in this new $100 scholarship fund. We've got about 17%, I think, that are participating in the 529 plan.
Talk about sustainability. Again, as a business person, you're opposing the idea of a department of sustainability at the county level, but talk about it in the bigger picture. I mean, people want to know, how do you feel in terms of the environment, in terms of energy moving forward as a business person? Are you concerned about the way things are going? Do you think the government has a role in this?
First, here's my opponent again saying that he says I'm opposing the sustainability department. I didn't oppose it. Where I am right now is I'm asking questions. Just because you ask questions does not mean you're opposing something. I mean, one of the things, if he'd even attend a couple of our sessions, in the last 4 years, he's attended 4 council meetings. The 4th one was just last week. So no, I'm not opposing it. I'm asking tough questions. But that's what we're supposed to do as legislators. I believe in using all forms of energy, not to try and pick winners and losers. The marketplace should be picking the winners and losers. You can see even a state like Colorado that is extremely conservative on environmental issues is going in a big way on using the natural gas programs, including an expansion of the fracking, and that's being supported by both U.S. Senate candidates out in Colorado.
Great. You do have a program for sustainability then at Jergens at your company?
Yes, absolutely. We actually were selected by Mayor Jackson when in a sustainability conference last year. They featured Jergens for our sustainability activities. When you walk in the building, you'll see that we have coffee cups instead of styrofoam for everybody. We have dishwashers on every floor. We have recycling of all paper. Every steel, aluminum chip gets recycled because that's what manufacturers do. We don't believe in wasting a single thing.
We have a lot of women readers and viewers for Cool Cleveland. Talk about your position on women's rights, and there's a real concern that your party and some of the platforms there may not be as favorable to women.
Well, as far as my favorability on women, again, all you have to do is walk into Jergens, and you're going to see that we have females in all aspects of responsibility, in charge of marketing, in charge of our controller of our currency in our building, in head of customer service. Just walk in and you'll see that I don't talk about these things the way sometimes my opponent does. I actually live these things. So when you talk about living inclusion, when the Column Post wrote up the article, they said Jack Schron lives inclusion.
You know, we are right up the street from Detroit Shoreway, Gordon Square Arts District. You see a lot of these districts in the region, Tremont, North Colin, where they're driven by arts and culture. And I wonder your thoughts on that, because we have a big Cuyahoga County arts and culture program that uses a cigarette tax to fund that, and it turns into economic development in specific neighborhoods and throughout the county. Any thoughts on that? You support that? Would you support it if it goes up for a re-election in terms of that tax?
Yeah. First, we'll take it one step at a time. I'm in favor of the arts and cultural levy. When you go to my business plan, it says medical, manufacturing, and multimedia, and that's all the arts and culture. When you look at, again, just go to the record of my opponent. When he was in charge of the budget, under his 2 years, it was the only time that arts and culture did not get a capital funding in the budget run by Armin Budish. So when he talks about it, make sure you actually ask him the questions about whether does he live it or does he talk it.
You've had some experience now on Cuyahoga County Council, and again, coming in as a Republican in a traditionally Democratic environment. And coming in as an executive in the business world where you call all the shots and whatever you say, pretty much everyone has to do. I know that doesn't always work in business, but it's very different in government where you need to build consensus. Can you talk about the concerns people might have for you coming in and saying, well, your style may not mesh with what's needed at the county executive level? Yeah,
this, again, sounds like my opponent talking because, again, look at his record down in Columbus. He developed the worst budget, $8 billion hole, so that obviously wasn't built by consensus, and left 89 cents. When you look at Jergens, I've been doing it for 30 years. You don't do that by yourself. There's absolutely no way you grow a business and multiply it fourfold as an individual. And the Kern County Council, I've been there for 4 years. I was selected by the Democrat leadership to head up the economic development. Again, that wouldn't have been done without consensus of working with CL and Conley, with Dan Brady. They saw my skills and talent in economic development, and they chose me to lead that and to run it. So I've got a great working relationship with my fellow members of council, and have worked for the 4 years. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet if they would speak off the record, you would find that a majority of council would be voting for me for county executive.
We're not able to do that, but I appreciate that. Off the record. Ask about re-entry. I know you've been involved in this, folks coming out of prison, getting jobs. What can you do at the county level? What would you do to help enhance those programs?
I think what you do is, as a county executive, you again demonstrate by example of what you've done. You come to Jergens, you'll see that we've got re-entry. We've hired ex-felons. They're actually doing work at Jergens, and they're doing a good job. So what I do is I'd reach out to my fellow business people that have relationships and say, hey, look what can be done. This is a valuable asset. Let's make sure that we use these assets. We wouldn't settle for it in our company to have a major portion of our workforce not working. Why should we settle for that in our community? So we need to get all the people back in the jobs. And I was actually talking with Paul Clark yesterday about the same concept, about how can they even engage that over at PNC to make sure. And I asked a very specific question about re-engaging and trying to get, I know there's some federal regulations that have some restrictions in the banking area, but there are other places that there are meaningful ways they can get engaged.
Leave it with one final thought, if you would. If you were to pick one thing that you want to accomplish as a county executive, what would it be?
Well, being one that sees, I see two number one objectives. One is we need to finish the county reform and reorganization, how we do our delivery of the county services, and that's for those most in need, those individuals who need the support and the help of what goes on, that young single mother, that senior citizen that needs the help. We really haven't improved the way we do our services. And then the second number one is how do we increase the jobs and job growth. We started down this path. What we're doing is we're responding to people's requests as opposed to outreach and going out there saying why we want you to move from Wausau, Indiana, or where we want you to move to from California here to Cleveland.
Great. Mr. Schron, thanks so much for taking a few moments on a very busy day here. Good luck with the campaign.
Thank you. It's exciting, but please call me Jack. I'm just kind of a simple guy, just back Jack. Thank you much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from CoolCleveland.com. Have a great week in Cool Cleveland.